Hey, welcome back. Got some new stuff for you. Last week I went on a road trip to Nebraska to a state park. But before I got to the state park, I went to a city nearby and just went to a regular park and then filmed this.
Okay, well, this works, I guess. It's not the most ideal, but it works. Uh, let's talk for a few minutes. I just drove 2.5 hours. I didn't think about recording anything before, but I've driven 2.5 hours to the city of Crawford, Nebraska. It is a small little town. It looks nice. I stopped and got some gas. This is not the final destination, but I drove past a little bit so that I could come get gas and do this. And then later, I'm a bit early, I'll be meeting up with a friend who is going to be camping and kindly letting me use their camper with them so that we can camp in Fort Robinson, which is the destination, the goal. So, a few things to note since the last time I guess we talked. One thing, I'm holding this, and I'm also recording on a phone. This is a new phone to me, refurbished technically, but whatever. I got something different that would record and do things that I wanted it to. For one thing, this is going to be 4K 60 frames per second. That's the goal. I don't like having to switch, and that's what over the last year plus it's been. I record everything in 4K on both of the cinema cameras that I use, and then when I switch to doing vlogging stuff, it's been 1080 because that's the best that it can do 4K. That's how it was. So I wanted to make that upgrade. I was displeased with what I was getting as far as having to go with 1080. I just want everything to be 4K 60 across the board. So I got a camera that would do that, and I got a phone that would do that. So I'm going to be able to do both for different reasons and different purposes. This isn't exactly ideal. I don't have a mic or anything. This is just going off of the camera or the phone, but hopefully it will be good enough. So anyway, point being, I made some changes that I wanted to do. One of them was the phone, and I also switched to Verizon as opposed to T-Mobile because while T-Mobile was fine, I never had any trouble with it back in Georgia and Atlanta and urban metro, whatever you want to call it, areas. Out here, pretty much as soon as you leave the city that we live in, that's it. You got nothing. Here with Verizon, a 2.5 hour drive, I lost signal, I don't know, 2-3 times in total. Not very much. Not bad. Anyway, yeah, that was definitely a change that needed to be made. I need to have service when I'm going places, and Verizon just has a better coverage map, and it wasn't, the price difference wasn't anything. So we switched over to Verizon and got on a shared plan, and I spent some money on different things. The phone was one of them. I did want a 5G phone. I wanted to have 5G. I could not do that on my other one. The other one was starting to act up in different ways, but this one's got much better cameras, much better battery life, the ability to have an SD card. I've got a terabyte SD card in there, which I thought was going to be great. And then I just discovered here when I started recording for the first time, 4K 60 only records the internal storage. So I will be recording that stuff and then just moving it to the SD card. Like at night, I'll set it up. I already have done that with an app to move stuff around. So I'll just be moving files to the SD card and then I'll pull them off later to edit. So besides that, the other thing that I got several pieces of equipment. I got new mics, a wireless system so that I could record, because the wireless I had before wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and it didn't really have mics or anything set up. So I got wireless mics that I'm going to hook up to a new camera. I got a new camera so that it can do 4K 60 because the other one wouldn't. And it was a lot of a debate back and forth over what I could actually afford going on credit cards and what like I really wanted. Because of course it would be great if I could afford to get like a mirrorless, not almost like a DSLR, but mirrorless that could do 4K 60 the way I want it to and do that kind of stuff and be able to swap lenses. It was going to be like 3 times the cost. It was going to be probably closer to 8 to 10 grand by the time I bought the different lenses I would need, all the equipment for it, the camera itself, because they're very new and they're very expensive. I'm sure it'd be worth it, but man, I just don't have that kind of money right now. Or I can't even squeeze around room to do that. So for considerably less, more like $2,500 so that I could get it used, I bought a camcorder that can do 4K 60, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's in a bag over there. I'll be using that. But I'm going to do that, and I'm splitting up kind of, I talked about it a little bit in a blog, but here in actual speaking, I want to split up what I'm doing into I want to do more, and I want to split it up into different things. So it's not just like, here's a 3-hour video that contains everything I did. I'm going to split it up so that like this personal talking stuff about me or my life, or, just kind of cataloging. I mean, when you think of the word vlog, it is a video log, which makes sense because when you think of the word blog, it's a word log. Don't know what I was doing. Took a break for a second to look something up and got distracted by all of the family being on Discord group chat, and I joined because I've got signal up here, which I didn't expect. Pretty much from the last year with T-Mobile, you leave the city limits that we live in and you got nothing. But what I was looking up was a microphone to go with this phone. Something preferably, I imagine I'll wind up using this in areas where I can't use I'll use the phone camera in areas where I can't use the camcorder because it's a big bulky thing and that's not really going to work for the car. But I can get a phone mount and then a microphone, and maybe if I get a lav microphone or a shotgun, I can run it up along and put it like up here where the visor is, and then just leave that set up and plug the phone in when I want to record or something like that. I don't necessarily want to be doing that while I'm driving, but having the option to do that in the car where I'm not holding it would be nice. Being able to go hands-free would be useful, but yeah, being able to switch this around is going to be nice. I don't remember if I got to this point already. So yeah, splitting up. I want to record more. I want to show more of what I'm doing, and I want to kind of separate it into different things so it's not as long of a video. So I'm going to do ones that are more like personal, where everything we just talked about will be kind of there. That one I may just keep strictly to Patreon. I haven't decided yet. I'm just throwing around ideas and stuff like that. But that'll be one type of it. And then I'm thinking another one will be the wildlife focused ones, where I'll talk more about that kind of stuff and show the wildlife and all the wildlife footage there. And then one specifically about the places that I go to and I see can be more of like a travel section, I guess. And I'll kind of split them up into different things for that. So I do have some ideas about the state park that we're going to today to stay in, and I was trying to learn about the history of it. I was looking up on Wikipedia and starting to learn some facts about it to try to come up with at least talking points, if not a script. I don't really know about reading a script because I have no way to, that would be like memorizing it and things like that. At the very least, I can do it in voiceover later, which is not going to be a big deal. But when I'm there on site, I want to set it up and I want to do better quality of what I'm showing, not just from my perspective, but also with me in the shots and things like that, which is why I got a wireless mic and why I got a nice new tripod in order to put the camera on, because that was one thing that I realized I was really lacking with that other camera, is I kept forgetting to get a tripod because the other tripod I had was big and bulky and sucky, and this is a super lightweight, like small it's a nice tripod. It's the best one. I'm really happy. I'm going to use it for a lot of different things, including just normal photography, but like happy about that. So after I got done talking to the camera for a few minutes, I got out of that car and wandered around the little park that I was at, and I was looking at a few different things that caught my eye and made me film. This machinery and like old wagons, they were just kind of cool and caught my eye and made me want to get a little bit closer. There was this cool old train car that they had set up at like a welcome center for the city of Crawford. I thought I got a picture of the plaque with the town history on it, but it's really blurry, so didn't really come out. I'm still learning the quirks of this phone. I'm not sure what happened there. Basically, the town was established because of the railroad, like a lot of places are around here, and it was named after Captain Emmett Crawford, a military captain who was at Fort Robinson. I'll be back in the future, I'm sure. This is a great place, and I'll get a better picture of the plaque and really go into the city of Crawford as well. That was pretty much it for the Friday evening that I drove in. The sun had set, so it was just make camp for the night,
hopefully get up bright and early the next day and start capturing footage. Bright is not the right word to use. The weather was a little less than ideal, but that's not going to deter me. Drove all this way, going to start seeing what I can see. I started driving along this scenic road that I'd seen on Google Maps, and I was hoping to see some wildlife. What I saw wasn't quite wildlife, but it was still pretty cool. I've seen cows before, of course, but I've never seen them with the horns, the long horns like that. That's probably why they're called longhorns. So I followed that road for a while until it came to a lake, and obviously a lake, good place to see some wildlife is what I was hoping. The weather mostly kept me from getting like good shots or anything. It was drizzling rain, which this camera is not waterproof. It was still good to get out and practice though. My idea was to try to get some shots with some nice background and then me in the frame, kind of away from the camera and not holding it like it's always been, so that I could use that for the travel vlog. But with the rain drizzling down on a not waterproof camera, and I have not come up with anything to say off the top of my head, this was all that I got. It may be a great spot for fishing, but there's no fishers out here today. We have a very gloomy, drizzly Saturday morning here on the lake at Fort Robinson. And the camera is getting wet. I saw this structure on the other side of the lake and thought that if I could drive around the lake, which I could, I would go check it out to see what it was like. Along the way, I saw some turkeys on the road. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. I drove a little bit further along the way around the lake to try to get to the other side of it and stopped to pull over because there's turkeys. Because of the rain, I'm not going to break out the big camera or anything, but hopefully this is doing what I need. This thing has a pretty impressive zoom at 20 times. Never used a camcorder before, not like this, but so far, at least looking on the viewfinder and the flip out screen, it looks pretty good. We'll find out when it gets to editing. Let's see if we can't get a little bit closer. It was a cool structure with a bridge that definitely did not make me nervous to walk out on it because it was just some wooden planks that I could see straight down through. Not at all triggering fear of heights. I did get afraid that the weather was going to stay like this for the whole day, but got back in the car, kept driving. Drove until the road ended.
Hey, look, this is where the road ends.
Okay, so maybe that wasn't the end of the road, but just past that was just campgrounds, and I wasn't about to go driving around there and bothering people at 6 in the morning who are camping. I did manage to see a bird, at least one. I don't know which one this is. It's hard to identify. I could take a guess, but I'm not 100%. I figured I would try to make the most of it, so I pulled over anyway to the side of the road and kind of climbed up a hill a bit so that I could start getting some more shots of the scenery and the general landscape and maybe talk in front of the camera, like my plan was. If there is one big lesson to take away from all of this, I need to research, I need to write a script, and I need to stick to it. Even on really gloomy days like this, the landscape is just beautiful. Even on a gloomy day full of clouds. Fort Robinson is home to 22,000 acres of scenic backdrop. Like this. Fort Robinson has 22,000 acres of scenery like this, which can be seen from the main road. They also have hiking trails, or for horseback. I do not own a horse. Okay, so this will be more of a personal thing. Just playing around out here, really. We went for a drive, saw the lake, which was nice. It's not a huge lake or anything, a little bit of wildlife, but the conditions today are not ideal for pretty much anything. Now it is getting a bit lighter over that way. The clouds are starting to dissipate, so maybe in a couple hours. I attempted to record a bit here where this is kind of a backdrop and talk a little bit about Fort Robinson, but really I didn't do enough research on it. That's something that I want to work on, and I'm not sure how to flow without like a script written, so I might practice more on that and see how to do that. Learn kind of to do my research beforehand and kind of write out some talking facts and then find an interesting backdrop and read it. I think that's typically how those kind of things go at this point. I'm just out near a field with some hills behind me, talking to a camera. Hoping that all this is working anyway, because I didn't think to check, actually. Does this thing have a speaker? Is my mic working? So here's hoping that this has been working, because I got the camera 2 days ago and was busy and didn't really have time to learn it too much. Well, okay, I should have made a bit more time. I looked over the manual for certain things, but I figured I'd figure out the rest as I go. There doesn't appear to be any way to playback, which makes me realize I have no idea if like my lapel mic is working, the wireless setup is going, that kind of stuff. It's recording video. I just don't think there's any way for me to actually view the video yet, but came out to some beautiful scenery here. Gloomy, gloomy day though. Oh well. Got back in the car, started driving back along that same scenic route. I still managed to see a few things that I hadn't seen before. I was getting hungry, so it needed to be breakfast time, so I was gonna head back to the camper. There were these cows by the side of the road, which made me stop at first, because I was like, oh, more cows, and these are closer, so that would be cool, and they look like they've got the beginnings of the longhorn. But what I immediately focused on once I stopped and got out of the car was this huge flock of birds that was behind them. So I zeroed in on that and I watched the birds for a bit. Afterwards, I came back and I was going to again try to look at the cows, and that's why I noticed that they had like this headgear on. Like, I assume that's to help them train their horns so that they grow properly and it doesn't hurt them in any way. Maybe they just have the mumps.
Okay, bit of a status update. Been a few hours. Went back to the camper and rested for lunch or breakfast. Ate a little bit of food, just not breakfast food, but whatever. Anyway, tried to get something taken care of because I showed up later in the day yesterday. My passes were bought for me, but the pass was bought as a. Oh no! Wait, look at that. Never mind. I thought because it was blue that I was given. It did say on the other one that it was a Nebraska, like in-state pickup or in-state pass, which is cheaper by $2 a day. But I am not from Nebraska. I have Wyoming plates on my car. But I just noticed underneath, I don't even know if you can read this. It's backwards on mine, so maybe it's backwards on yours too. I don't know if it's mirrored. This does say non-Nebraska. But it was a whole thing talking with the ladies at the desk where she was like, I don't know how to do that. No one's ever had to do that before. And I can't just like give them the extra money because the passes were already in there. So she talked to another lady who went and they found passes that like other people hadn't claimed. Apparently there's a wedding going on up here. So she asked if that was, apparently a lot of people from Wyoming are coming from the wedding, and if that's what I was doing, which I'm not. But talked to her about the place, and she was telling me a lot about the history of it and what this place has been used for over the years, and kind of what I saw on the Wikipedia as well, and what I'd like to talk about, but I'm not sure. The weather's not exactly ideal. It's starting to clear up a bit and get a little bit brighter, but it's still not 100% where we are. Or ideal weather conditions to shoot, but take what I can get. I'll still do that. I still want to do a couple more things for today because it's really, I got a full day today, and then tomorrow is like mid-morning. I'm going to head back because it's Sunday's a day for prepping food and getting ready for the week and things like that, laundry and whatnot. So I need that time to decompress as well. So that'll be, it's really just today, which the weather's not going to be great today. It's supposed to clear up around noon. It's like 11 right now, so we've got about an hour. We got the lead on what I saw on Google and on their website, and I talked to the lady at the information desk when I was getting the tag switched, and they have a small herd of bison. She said buffalo. The website said buffalo. Everywhere I've seen it said buffalo. But unless they imported them from Africa or Asia, I think they're bison. But we know where to go now for that. The path that we went down this morning where I was like, well, this looks like it could be. It's the other direction and the other way. But I know where to go. That's where we're going. I really hope to go see bison. That's the goal.
So after lunch, I went back out because I wanted to start getting shots as much as I could of Fort Robinson and all the old buildings that they had and the sites that they were there and the history of it. I tried to get as much as I could for that so that I could piece that together into a travel vlog to really show what the place is like. So after talking with the lady, finding out where I needed to go, bison. That was the goal. That's all I wanted to see. She told me where to go. I went out on that scenic road, and that's exactly where they were. There was this one that was a little closer to the road. It was alone, and it seemed kind of thin, so it may have been sick. I'm not 100%. But after seeing that first one, I drove around the corner and saw that there was more than enough to make me immediately stop the car, break out the big camera, try to get what I could. They were really far away, but I'm really happy that I saw bison. So after a bit of watching these bison, I figured this was good enough for now. The footage was not going to come out great because it was in the heat of the day and they were so very far away, but I was still happy just to have seen bison. Well, that's just neat. That bison. I've always wanted to see bison. I didn't think that was going to happen anytime soon, and even though this is a domesticated herd, that's good enough. Turns out that pasture where the bison are at also connects on either side to the main highway. So after driving through the rest of the scenic route, we came back along the main highway. At this point, I was no longer driving. I was just shooting out the window. I was a passenger. And we saw a much larger herd of bison by the highway, which I managed to do my best to try to shoot as we were driving. Now, the day wasn't over just yet. There was still more to see. I was exhausted and needed a nap, but after that, woke up and we went to a different place. I'll be making 2 different vlogs here for travel location. One for Fort Robinson, and the second place that we went to, which is Toadstool Geological Park. The Toadstool one will be short and rushed because by the time I woke up from a nap and we got out there, it was about a 30-45 minute drive. It was basically sunset. We had very little sunlight left. It did make for some cool shots to kind of show with the sunset behind it, which definitely, don't get me wrong, very happy we went. It was gorgeous, but it doesn't really show the whole location. It's not entirely what I want to do there. I would really like, I think this would be a really cool place. It was just about a mile trail. There's much longer ones, but that 1 mile trail was pretty nice. And I think it would make for a really good video if I broke out the cinema camera and the gimbal and just walked the whole thing in one long take, like I did for the forest. But by the time that was done, definitely end of the day, no sunlight left, back to the camper, pass out. Want to get up nice and early the next morning so I can get out and see the bison. Now that I know where I can go to see bison, that's where I'm headed. Driving along that scenic route through the bison pasture was actually pretty disappointing the next day. It was unfortunate, but I did not see anything. They were nowhere to be found. I was really hoping to see something, so one last chance, went back out onto the main highway, hoping maybe they're on that part of the pasture. Found a spot to pull over where there was a national landmark so that you could actually see there was a sign and everything. Happened to look over the fence there, and there's so many bison. That must have been the full size of the herd. I thought it was much smaller. No, there's plenty. Second day, hours. I don't have a watch. Pretend I'm looking at a watch. My phone. Just a few hours before I have to pack up and leave and head home to get back to the land of responsibility. Back out to see the bison again. And they are out there in much greater numbers than I saw yesterday. This is incredible. These beasts are huge. They're so far away too, hundreds of meters away, but still you can see through the viewfinder and on the camera just how big they are. And I looked up, they weigh between 800 to 2,800 pounds. And although their numbers were estimated 60 million in the late 18th century, it's down to roughly 31,000 today, mostly in state parks and things like this where they can keep them domesticated and keep them alive, not being poached. After about an hour or two of shooting from this one location, I got in my head where I went, okay, I need to do better. I need to show it from different angles. I want to try to get a little closer to the bison if I can, while being safe and staying on the other side of the fence. But if I could get to there, or if I could show them from other angles, especially because I had the sun more or less directly at me, which kind of backlights them, and it's cool, but it's not entirely what I'm looking for. I need to show it from a few different angles. I packed up and I tried to move to another spot, but by that point, where the hills were, I couldn't see them anymore. They had gone further in, but that meant that they were going closer to the road on the scenic drive where I would seen them the day before. So packed back up in the car, went around, let's see if I can see them from that angle. And I could. So pulled over, broke out all the camera stuff, got the big camera out, shot for another hour or two. I was just so thrilled that I got to see bison. Like, that's really cool, and I didn't expect that. Even though it said online, I was still hesitant, and then I showed up, and there they are. It was perfect. Now it was getting to the point where I really needed to be leaving soon to get back, because I have responsibilities to take care of on Sunday so that the rest of my work week goes smoothly. If I don't prep meals and stuff, then I don't have anything ready to eat for during the week, which messes up the whole rest of the schedule as I try to cram in as much as I can Monday through Thursday when I'm working. But I wasn't ready to leave just yet. I still needed at least one or two more things that I had planned out that I wanted to do. So back in the car, I wanted to get some more shots of more of Fort Robinson, especially from the car, all the different buildings and things like that. Then it was get everything back, pack up all my stuff, hit the road, 2.5 hour drive home. Now I got the rest of the day to get everything else done that I need to do. That's basically it. That's everything that I really have to show from this perspective. Hopefully you enjoy kind of this behind the scenes look at things and a more personal touch to it. Like I said, I've got plenty of footage from the entire weekend. It was a long weekend. It was a great weekend. And I'm going to split those up into different videos depending on like their subject. Hopefully this new era of videos, as I go forward, will be a little bit more interesting at the very least. Easier to manage, kind of bite-sized, easy to digest and watch them all in different settings. Those will be coming out as soon as I get them all edited, which will be at some point. Got to go back to working on it. It's bison. Pretty cool. Really cool.